Welcome everyone to SkillMill's launch webinar. We have had 3 exciting years creating this app for you, and we are really grateful that you have joined us today to learn a little bit more about how it works and what SkillMill is. With me today, I have my project colleagues Anna Storgårds from Helsingfors.
Hello.
Elias Faltin from Uppsala University Campus Gotland, Department of Game Design, who has led the development of our app, and my colleague Madeleine Rönnberg from Uppsala University, who will help us with the Q&A and have also contributed largely to the theoretical framework. So, Anna, would you like to say a few words about yourself before we begin?
Yes, thank you, Björn. Like Björn said, I'm Anna Storgårds, and I work here at the University of Helsinki as a career counselor. And we have been working hard in the background of the SkillMill project, and I'll tell you more later. Nice to be here and welcome to everyone.
Thank you very much. Elias?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Elias. I work as a project coordinator at the Department of Game Design on Gotland, also part of Uppsala University. And like Björn said, I was mainly leading the development team and design team for the actual app, and had the pleasure of collaborating not only with Anna but a lot of other career counselors and psychologists in the project to learn a lot about soft skills over these past years, and do my best to put this into an app together with the fantastic development team.
Thank you very much, Elias. And my name is Björn Nyström, so I have been the project manager for this project. I've had the honor of learning a lot from our experts and pitching in the guidance of these processes. Madeleine, our moderator, would you like to say just a few words about yourself before we dive in?
I thought I was going to be the quiet one today, but yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Madeleine. I'm a colleague of Björn from Uppsala University, but at the same time working with the same things as Anna as a career counselor. So use the chat or the Q&A and we will help you with your questions.
Thank you very much. So with that, let's get started. And like Madeleine said, you will not be able to see yourself or speak via video, but you are more than welcome to post questions or comments, primarily in the chat, but the Q&A function is also active. So let's get started. So for those of you who are new to our project, we are an Erasmus funded project with kind contributions from the EU. We are a consortium of 4 universities. We're Uppsala University, University of Helsinki in Finland, University of Tartu in Estonia, and University of Stavanger in Norway have collaborated in creating this joint and shared framework. To tell you what we are and what we have done in one sentence, we have taken established skills frameworks from different established sources such as World Economic Forum, OECD, and the EU. We have passed this through an interdisciplinary approach in order to create an interactive and student-centered approach for learning about soft skills in regards to study abroad. And why is this? Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think you gain from a study abroad experience? Feel free to post suggestions in the chat. It might be fun actually to see what you all think about this, because we all tend to focus on different things. Transcripts of records, knowledge, obviously very important. International universities do give very unique opportunities to our students. But we all know, who work with internationalizations, that students seem to gain so much more. And we like to call this the best working life skills training in the world. So take, for example, a young student who we send to study 1 semester or maybe even a year in Chile or Korea or the Netherlands or Sweden. We're used to these students coming back home from study abroad as almost sometimes like a new person. Sometimes they are more mature, or they seem better at communicating, or a little bit more focused or solutions oriented. And at least when I speak with colleagues, it is an experience that people recognize. But what is interesting to note is that we see this in the research as well. The now famous Erasmus Impact study from 2019 put it like this: there is a significant soft skill gain while being abroad. Well, there is virtually no development for non-mobile control groups over similar periods of time. This means that, of course, all students, all humans, do train and develop and use soft skills. But the study abroad context means that people and students do this more. And to give examples of such soft skills, we have, for example, decision-making, tolerance towards ambiguity, and open-mindedness. So what is interesting to note when we talk about soft skills is that everyone knows that you develop as a person while studying abroad. But what not as many people know is that this personal development is also similar to professional skills development. We learn skills that we can use in working life. And soft skills are important. Look at this study from LinkedIn, the Global Talent Trends Report of 2019. Soft skills can make or break a hire. They can also make and break a company. So what does this mean? Well, if I would be a recruiter, I would obviously want a person who's skilled at the job I want them to do. But everyone who has ever recruited anyone knows that there's more to it than this. We want people who can take constructive criticism, who can listen, who can communicate their thoughts, who react in a suitable way to challenges, who do not hide and cry in the broom closet, but actually get up and try to solve these problems. And should be good news for us. It should be very good news for universities who work with internationalization, that our international study opportunities give students training in these skills. But we do see that it's a little bit more complicated than that. Take, for example, this study from the Finnish National Agency for Education from 2014, who said that, yes, international mobility does provide the skills that recruiters are looking for, but the recognition is not always automatic. This means that the burden of proof falls very much on the shoulders of the students to actually being able to tell and prove to the employers that not only have I studied abroad, this study abroad period has provided me with personal skills training that can benefit you as an employer when I do my work. And I found no better quote that illustrates this than this one from Internationalization of Higher Education, also from 2014. Yes, we do look for international experience, but simply studying abroad is not enough. You have to be able to articulate very clearly and concisely what you have learned and how this can benefit your work for our organization. And although this was in 2014, we were quite surprised to see the newly released European Skills Agenda for 2025 say something very similar. It states that soft skills are often developed outside of formal learning, at work and throughout life. It can be difficult to identify, recognize, and communicate those skills. This is why in the next phase of EU action on transversal skill, more needs to be done to capture them. So to summarize the reason why we exist and why we have done and carried out this project, it's that we need to teach our students to identify, understand, and express professional skills, soft skills, transversal skills that they learn and train while they study abroad. This is quite exciting. All of these studies implicate that if we can do this, we can help our students benefit even more from study abroad than they are already doing. So how have we done this? Well, we have worked together with career counselors, with psychologists, and with game designers to create a digital framework that creates an exploration space and a reflection space where students can approach those dynamic experiences of studying abroad. So let's say that you have studied one semester in Chile or Korea or Netherlands or Sweden, and you've encountered a lot of diverse experiences. The app, the SkillMill app, helps you to reflect on and find these experiences that might be meaningful to you. In what we call the exploration exercises, our students can answer questions about these experiences. For example, did you take care how you used limited time to make the most of it? Did you have difficulties understanding someone? Did someone else have difficulties understanding you? And so on and so on. Answering these questions, we have in the SkillMill app a database of consolidated frameworks from all of these EU, OECD, WEF skills frameworks that we have consolidated into the SkillMill soft skills taxonomy. Depending on what students' answers, this taxonomy can provide them with suggestions, and it's not a personality test. We simply give them a narrowed down selection of skills that might have been relevant to their experience. So, for example, if they did take care of how they used a limited time to make the most of it, or limited funds, then maybe resource management was relevant to them, or maybe negotiation, or maybe problem solving. We let students learn more about these skills and compare them to each other, because in these exercises, they can take all of the skills with them to the next step. They can only pick a few. So they are forced to learn and understand these skills a little, compare them to each other and see, okay, so maybe all of these or some of them were relevant, but which one is most relevant to me in this particular situation? Having done this, we provide them with examples of storytelling tools from career counseling theory, such as the CAR story model, context action result, and several others. But instead of showing you still images, we thought, why not show you the whole thing? Since we are at our computers anyway, my colleague Elias has promised to bring up the emulator and show you the app in action from his computer. Does that sound okay, Elias?
Yes, let's do it. All right.
Right.
Here is the emulator. And as you can see, we're on the home screen right now, and we have two options. Either we can explore a situation with no previously kind of decided soft skill and just see what the app spits out, what the app thinks we trained during the situation. Or we can say, okay, I have a job interview. They want to know why I'm a great critical thinker or a great team worker or a great whatever else they might want to know. And I need to find some sort of situation in my life that helps me write a great story about that. So we help you do that as well. So both, if you have a specific goal in mind for a job interview, for something, an application, or if you just really want to explore, we can help you with both of those scenarios. And we thought we're going to first show you the shorter version, which is just trying to find a scenario for a specific soft skill. And then we have done a little bit of prep, so we can show you the longer version as well. But I think the way we're going to do this is Björn, now that SkillMill is over, is going to have to look for a new job. Not actually, but let's just pretend. And so Björn, let's see what sort of skill do you think this new job of yours might require of you?
Wow. Well, if I look at what skills were required when I applied for this job, communication skills, problem-solving skills, adaptability, I remember were actually listed in the job application.
Which one of those three do you want to go with today?
Well, let's have a look at communication.
Communication. All right. And now we start and we see the app gives us a couple of prompts to help us remember a specific situation. So persuaded others to follow your opinion, and you can kind of cycle through these at your own pace, go back and forth. And do you have a situation in mind already, Björn, for this?
I do actually, but should we do the open one?
I mean, yeah, we can go back to that, sure. I was gonna show the emoji canvas and stuff. But...
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, in that case, I do have a situation in mind. Let's go with the recent EAIE conference when we presented in front of a crowd.
And now, and we can fly through this very quickly, but this is what the app does now. In the beginning, it prompts you to reflect on your situation and create a visual representation of it using emoji and a couple other tools like the background color you can change later on. And so maybe since this was in Spain, now we have to find the I guess it was in Catalonia, no? I think.
Let's go with the Spanish flag anyway.
Okay. We'll just click on this one.
Go, and I remember feeling very nervous, so maybe a little nervous person there.
Which one could we use? This one looks like you are not having a great time.
That's how I felt before the presentation began. And then we can keep filling this with people, animals, places. So I remember buildings, I remember the beach of Barcelona. And
yeah, we can add one beach and then let's move on. But yeah, all right.
But so this helps me actually spend some time with the experience and see what do I remember from this and what stands out. So while in a safe space with very universal symbols, I can make them bigger and smaller and rotate them and actually try to paint a picture of my experience.
Yeah, and it's a bit better if you do this on your phone, like Björn said, because right now we only have one mouse pointer, and on your phone you have 2 fingers, so you can, like Björn said, like pinch to zoom, rotate the emojis, and so on and so forth. And if you have a wrong one, you can delete them as well later on. But let's move on. We can set a little background color for the mood. Let's go with beach.
Something, or something green. I remember this as a happy experience, although I was a little bit nervous.
That's an awful green color. I hope our artist never sees this.
This is just an example.
That's okay. And then you could annotate this as well and write something like this. Barcelona stress. And put this down here just to make sure you really remember what the situation was about. And then we've finished the emoji and we can jump into actually doing exercises to explore the situation and learn which specific kind of sub-skills below communication or under communication you used in this situation. And then we help you write a compelling story about this. Like Björn mentioned, we support different storytelling types there. But we can do this now with the open flow, the other situation type that we've prepared before. So if we look over here, you can see there's an emoji canvas. The story is called Ice House, and we'll find out a bit more about the story now when we dive into it. But
to give the audience a chance to understand what this is all about, this is actually from my own experience as well. When I did an internship in Stockholm, and I rented as my accommodation a little summer house on an island, which was probably nice in the summer, but in winter when it was 15 or 20 degrees cold, the water pipes froze every morning. Every night. So I had to call my landlord and ask what to do. They told me I had to crawl under the building in the snow and bang on the pipes until the ice came loose. So that's how I began my mornings in Stockholm. And this was very impactful to me. So I'm sure there are some soft skills in there, although I have no idea what they may be. So let's try and search for them.
Cool, sounds good. We've done some of this exploration already. As you can see, it shows us here, we have to do one more exploration to unlock insight exercises. An exploration, just as like a explanation what exploration exercises are, those are the sort of exercises where we care about quantity over quality. So we want you to see as many different inputs and little triggers and things that get you thinking and reflecting, and you sort, okay, was this somewhat relevant? Did this, like, is this at all in line with what happened in my situation? Did I feel like this at all or not? And then later in insights, you narrow down and you focus and you really identify the core of your experience. And we've gone through 2 of these exploration exercises already. So if you go with this all skills approach, you have to go through 3 of them because you have a bit more to explore. And so we're gonna just go through the last one now, and then take it from there. So this is something cool as well. When you explore all skills, you get the chance to maybe focus on a couple of skills more than on other skills. And you can see some of them, like self-management, we haven't explored that much yet. Some of them, like problem solving, we've explored quite a lot already. Björn, do you want to explore any specific skills some more now when we dive in?
For sure. I mean, this was about being in the cold, fixing pipes. So I feel that problem solving was important. Adaptability, this was definitely new to me, so I had to adapt. And self-management, what I saw of it, hit a note because I had to work a little with myself here. So I think that's the most relevant skills that I can see here.
Okay,
So
let's
explore them more.
Let's start it, and we're ready to explore. And so I will read the first couple ones out loud, and after that, we'll just give everyone the time to read them themselves.
Right.
So did you stop and consider all the different options you had in a particular situation?
Well, I did call my landlord to ask for help, so I think I did reflect a little on my options.
Did you consider and choose which of several things was most important to deal with first?
Well, there wasn't so many different aspects, but I mean, my lack of knowledge about frozen pipes definitely came as the most strongest problem. So I think I can see myself doing that. Yeah.
So yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you think about other people's experiences and reflect on how they felt or thought in a particular situation?
No, I thought only about myself.
And did you accept your circumstances changing with or without your control?
Ooh, that's a deeper question. I mean, in a way, yes, I don't remember like feeling this was a big problem. I just wanted to solve it. So I did accept the circumstances changing. Yeah.
Okay. Did you handle feeling stressed for a time?
I did. And this is important. We learned this from our counselors that in fact, many skills are relevant to the same situation. And but also the same skill can be relevant in many different situations. So that is something we are trying to show. Yes. No on this one. Not really. My values and priorities, how others perceive me, no, I did not. Other people's perspectives, no, this was quite lonely out in this island actually, so not so many other people around. No, I did not give any information to someone else, not really. Several things at once, multitasking, no, not really that relevant. Imaginatively, I mean, in a way, a little. To me, I could have tried pouring boiling water into the drain, but crawling under the building was definitely novel to me. So, yeah. Actively solve the source of the problem. I did. Well, I couldn't solve the winter, but I did solve the pipes. Group activity, no. Open to experiencing new things, yes. How can I say no? Yeah.
Cool. And now we've unlocked insights, we see here. And before we go there, I just want to direct your attention to this like results down here. So whenever you complete an exercise, you see this list down here growing. And like it says here, based on the replies, we found the following skills that could be relevant for you. And right, important here is that we're not guaranteeing that these are the skills that, oh, you do this app and we tell you, and it takes away all the work of reflection from you. That we believe that cannot be done. So this is just a tool to help you on your journey of reflecting and of understanding your situations better. And so we think that those are probably relevant soft skills and sub skills for this situation. And you can also see whenever some of them were newly added now in the most recent round of exploration. So you see openness to new experiences, for example, got added now. And we could continue exploring, or we're going to go to insights now. And here,
heat levels, right?
we can do either. I would say let's go which would you rather. It's a bit faster. But we can also do heat levels if you prefer that.
I like heat levels, please.
Okay, so we have
Oh,
different
I'm not
exercises.
completely emotionally detached. I enjoy this exercise.
Okay. And so heat levels, right now we have a long list of different skills, or even more precisely sub-skills that are listed down here, and we can kind of scroll through them at our own pace, read what the skill is about, read the definition for the skill, and if we find a skill where we're like, okay, this one was really important, right? Maybe tolerance towards uncertainty. I don't know. Would you say that one was important, Björn?
It was. And let me say that the reason this exercise came about was that our counseling colleagues told us that when we present students with a number of soft skills, they tend to find a lot that were relevant, because a lot of the skills were relevant. But when we are forced to compare them, and if we say that, yeah, good for you, but you can only keep 5, or you can only keep 3, you have to compare them to each other and actually reflect which one was more important to me and more important to this particular experience. Would you agree with this, Anna? You're nodding, okay.
So we can just put this one up there, and
yeah,
later on, if you want to replace it, we can always put it down again, right? So and replace it. So this, you're not locked in by putting it up there. But I'm just gonna scroll, and you can yell stop loudly if you find one that speaks
all
to
right. Yeah, you can keep going here. Asking for help and support, that's something I did, because I did contact my landlord. And yeah, let's see them all. What happened? Innovation. Solutions-oriented thinking. That's the one I saw before. To save some time for our viewers, let's stick with these 3. But okay. I genuinely think that tolerance towards uncertainty was important, and asking for help was important, because I could not have solved this on my own. And the same is true for solutions-oriented thinking, to look for a solution rather than getting stuck on the problem. Yeah.
Cool. Then let's jump to the next level. And now,
this is the $1 million question. So these were all important to me, but which one was most important? And I would say that in the end, solutions-oriented thinking takes the prize, because there was no way around it. I had to look for the solution, and the solution was to solve the problem concretely by going under the building. So that was a good experience for me.
Let's go with that one then.
All right.
And press the big orange button, finish. And we see here again, you get a little bit of a recap of what just happened. You see your top sub skill is solutions-oriented thinking, and the honorable mentions or runner-ups, those are tolerance towards uncertainty and asking for help and support. And this might help you in the next step now when we come to writing a story. Like Björn mentioned, every experience can be an experience showing progress in many skills, and equally many skills can be applicable to many situations or many experiences. And so if you want, you can write one story about your solutions-oriented thinking, and then you can write another one asking for help and support or tolerance towards uncertainty. And this might be very, very useful in an interview scenario, because you can kind of, show that, oh, I learned about solutions-oriented thinking, but a big part of that was asking for help and support. And that's something that I learned in this situation, that's a good tool to solve situations and to be solutions-oriented. But yeah, now that we come back here, we also see that the situation now has gotten a color and an icon, because as you saw here, solutions-oriented thinking is a sub-skill of problem solving. And now the situation is identified as a problem-solving situation with a little definition. And the app is trying to get our attention towards making a verbalization. So writing a story about this ice house situation. Are you ready to do that, Björn?
Yeah, I am. Let's do it.
All right. We can press the big create a new story button. And then we see a little bit of a story is already pre-written for us, right? So this is ice house. Help me gain more experience with problem-solving skills, such as solutions-oriented thinking. And now we want to give a bit more context to that, right? Because this is a bit like you would say this in an interview, and the interviewer would look at you and say like, okay, and how did that happen, right? And so this is the question we're trying to answer now. And we can do this either with a car story or with a star story. Björn, which one do you want to go with?
Let's go with the shorter one for this.
All right. Here we can see that the app has basic steps where you can step through, and it prompts you, okay, describe the context, describe the action and the result. And it reminds you also which were the soft skill and the sub skill that you picked. And you could, for example, choose a different one here if you'd want to write a different sort of story. And if you would, choose a different soft skill, for example, you see the color of the story changes, but problem solving will always stay highlighted as the one that was kind of that you came to before. But yeah, Björn, describe the context or the challenge.
Okay, so one winter I studied in Stockholm. And my water pipes rose every night.
What did you do about that?
So I called my landlord for advice or to ask them to fix it. And they told me to go under the building and bang the pipes. So how did this situation turn out? And how does it relate to the skills I gained? Well, I mean, it worked. I got water every morning. And it taught me that sometimes no one will fix the problem for you. You have to do it yourself. And this to me was a good experience in solutions-oriented thinking, in problem solving. But you don't have to.
No, because if we press this button here, now we get the full story. ISLs helped me gain more experience with problem solving skills such as solutions-oriented thinking. And then we get the context below. And now we have our first story here done for this situation, for this experience. And we can complete this now, or we can always jump back and create a new story. But right now, we will just go and press the complete the situation button and see what happens. What happens now is you can see we get teleported into our storybook.
And I have my first story.
Yes, and in the storybook, you can also see a big blue bubble pulsing and bouncing around, trying to attract your attention again, informing you that you have a new story here in problem solving. And this is something really cool about the app. Not only do we collect your stories so that you can use them, and if we'd have more stories here now, so in my personal app on my phone, I have lots of different stories for the different soft skills, and it will show me, oh, I have 3 communication and 1 teamwork and leadership and 2 self-management. And this kind of also helps you to see, okay, maybe if I don't have a single critical thinking story, I might want to go here, take the 1 skill path and see if I can find something for critical thinking, right? To kind of round out my skills profile. Otherwise, this helps me, okay, if I need to look for a job, I look for communication, I just click there, I see all of the stories that I have. Or if you don't have one, you can just start one from right here. The next cool thing is that if you're in this page, you can see up here, it says the soft skill, it says the definition of it, and you can press learn more, and you will see a bit of text about why employers want this skill, and you can click on the link to get directed to the source page. And you can also see a classic job interview question, just to get mentally prepared going into a job hunt.
It also actually helps us learn ways how employers look for these skills in interviews. because we don't always realize that's actually what's happening with a certain question, that the question sounds one way, but they're actually looking for your critical thinking skills or adaptability or creativity.
Yes, exactly. So these are little tips that help you kind of hack your job interview, and kind of, yeah, learn the tricks of the trade. And the other cool thing is you can, if you want to learn even more and be very versed in that language, you can scroll up from down here and you can see all the sub skills and their definitions as well. So you can learn a bit more when it comes to problem solving. Okay, what sort of sub skills are hidden in that? So if I get this question up here about describe a time when you face an unexpected challenge, I can talk about identifying the challenge. I can talk about prioritizing. I can talk about recognizing opportunities within that challenge, right? So there are different angles on how I can approach this interview question, and we can kind of help you prepare for all of those.
And that was important for us to also provide all the information in the app without requiring something in return. So sometimes it might be good to do the exercises and reflect and find that one soft skill that is right for you. Sometimes it's good just to go in there and learn, to have the learning content provided without any hurdles, so to speak. So we wanted to offer both options.
Mm-hmm. And now lastly, we can just take a look how the story actually looks like in the storybook, and what you can do with it. So if you click on it, you can see, okay, on the one hand, we see the story here. We can close out of it again. You can also copy it. Then, as you can see, it will copy it to the clipboard. So this is a very easy way for you to export the story out. You can copy it to your clipboard and then send it to yourself, or put it directly into a document or a message to yourself or something like that to get it into your application. You can also flip the card around and you will see again the emoji canvas. And not only can you, like we said, just copy the text, you can also press the share button. And now, depending on whether you're on iOS or Android, you will get this share menu that you're used to when you're trying to share something to someone else via some sort of messaging app. And like you can see here, it will try to share plain text in one document. So it will try to share the text of the story, and it will also send the image of the emoji canvas, and you can see the preview right here. And that way you can kind of, yeah, I don't know if you would send it in directly with an application, your emoji canvas, maybe in a couple of years, that's more standard. But we were thinking, for example, it can be super useful for you to export this and to have it a bit as some flashcards that you could take when you prepare for an interview, so that you can look at them, you can remember this emoji canvas, and yeah, maybe you can share it. You can say, like, this is a cool situation that I had and this is what I learned from it. So we think that's a cool way to kind of share the outcome. And if you are, for example, a career counselor or someone that supports students going on exchange, then this is a great way for you to make students check in regularly and say, okay, once a week, please send in a canvas and a story, right? So this is like one of those use cases. You can learn more about this in the practitioner's guide we're going to talk about. But that's one of the use cases we've heard now people thinking about, and we also would recommend this is a very easy way for students to once a week go in, create a situation, create a canvas, write a small story, and then send it in to you. And maybe they're a bit annoyed about it while they're having to do it, but 6 months later, when they have to apply for jobs and they have a full storybook full of soft skill stories, then all of a sudden they're very happy that they did this.
And our focus groups actually show us also personal experience from studying abroad, that while you're out there, while you are in Korea or Chile or the Netherlands, you have 100 experiences every day. And obviously you won't put everyone in the app, but it's a way to keep them from disappearing in this flood of experiences. Because when you go back 3 months later, you might not have that particular experience at the top of your mind, but at least to me, seeing the image makes me immediately remember that, oh yeah, that happened to me. Maybe that was important.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elias, for that.
I wanted to just mention one last thing very briefly. If you're using the app and you have any feedback for us, you can click on settings here and there's a little feedback button. So just press that. That will get you to a form where you can leave some feedback for us that gets directly sent to us. And that way we can fix any problems you have, reach out, help in any way we can. So this is the quickest way for you to get in contact with us and to get help if you have any problems using the app, or yeah, your students have any problems, then down here in the settings, there's a nice feedback button that will get you straight to our helping hands and ears, and yeah, happy to support you. But yeah, that's it for me now.
Wonderful, thank you. So what do we want this app to do for us? Well, to summarize it in one single picture, we do like study abroad, and we think that even students who don't go abroad have meaningful and new experiences just beginning to study at the university. So we want students to look closer on these dynamic experiences. For example, a very complicated visa application, or staying in a dorm with completely new people, attending classes they don't fully understand, being lonely in another country, or navigating a big city. This is the subway map of Tokyo, which to me, who's a country boy from the countryside, was an absolute shock. Strange food, weather, social contexts, to look beyond those and actually find the professional skills that hide behind these, and understand that they do leave their international experiences, or they come back from their international experiences far better equipped to face working life than they understand. Anna, would you like to provide some well-needed expertise?
Thank you, Björn, so much. Really, as you can all see, this is a very versatile app indeed, and it really mirrors the process of a career counseling session that you would have with a student coming in, trying to unpack his or her international experience and translating those to soft skills. This app really does it. You just have to invest the time in it, then it will definitely give you very similar results, so to speak. Because, well, let's for a moment forget about the technical app, but zoom out a little bit, and let's talk about something called the employability gap, which may be a familiar or unfamiliar term to you. But this is basically what it's all about, and what SkillMill is trying to address as well, is there is a gap many times between what the graduate wants to say, how the graduate verbalizes skills and talks about skills, and how the recruiter sees the applicant. The recruiter is actually, many times, as Björn mentioned, they in recruiting, you use the STAR method to try to get the skills out of the interviewee. But if you already are prepared, then you can basically tell the recruiter what they want to know more directly. So we want to narrow this gap between, I don't know my skills, and please tell me your skills. There's a big gap there. So we want to narrow this gap, and this app does it, like explained here. And also, yes, thank you. But higher education institutions that we all, I suppose, represent here, more or less, we are all very interested in graduate employability, because we're all working for this cause. We want to educate graduates that are have a diverse skill set and also are aware of their skills and who can verbalize their skill set. Now, we all need to help our graduates to find their place in the labor market, to make a better match, so to speak. So higher education institutions can really also, by using SkillMill more structurally, overcome this gap. For example, the international office or study abroad office, or it comes in many names. You can, like Elias said here, really make the most of it, because it's all about spreading the word and the awareness beforehand about how important these soft skills are, and of course what they are, how important they are, and that they especially develop during periods abroad. So before you send away your students on a mobility period, then you can introduce SkillMill and highlight. And like Elias said, send me a story back, not every week or every month, but please encourage your students how to use the app. And then during the mobility period also, you can, I don't know how you keep in touch with your students, but you can remind them about it, and also then ask for a few stories, and ask students to share stories as well, because you learn so much by sharing and hearing what your peers have picked up. And of course, as many of us do, we have unpacking and unwrapping periods afterwards. We go through in workshops about what happened during your mobility and what did you learn. But you can, if you have already started doing this with SkillMill, then you're already a step ahead, but it's never too late, of course. But to gain the most out of it is, like mentioned before, you might forget because you're experiencing so much that if you record them as you go, then you have more material to work with later on. And yes, I think we are ready then to talk about career services and how staff in career services can make the most out of this app. Now, I think that it's a perfect tool to encourage reflection on soft skills in general, and not just related to international experience, even if that was our starting point here. But you can use this for any experience that you've had, because as you know, skills develop in so many life spheres, in working life, during hobbies, when you're taking part in voluntary work and so forth. The sky's the limit here. And of course, during a traineeship, or you can also encourage your students to use this app before they go on a traineeship, whether it's in your own home country or if it's abroad. Then, as a counselor, I see a lot of students individually and in groups. Now, it's also the perfect tool as an element to use as part of a workshop. It can be to prepare with for a session so that students already come in a certain mindset, or you can, of course, do it then and there. It's really quite flexible in that sense, because it's all based on the STAR and CAR model. These are tools that career counselors use almost every day. And if you do general skills recognition workshops, perfect. But definitely one great use for this is when you're job hunting, like Elias has mentioned here many times. Because I usually tell the students that I have the solution on how to stand out from the crowd. I may be promising too much, but usually after having a few guesses how to stand out, I let them know that you stand out by being yourself. So this is your chance to do it. By using SkillMill, you have your real experiences tied to these working life skills. So the stories that the recruiter is going to hear is going to be really personal. You're going to come alive. You're going to stand out because, that was Elias who was talking about that, and Björn who was talking about the pipes. Yes, I remember him. He was talking about that and skills he learned then. So you remember much better the sort of candidates in an interview process. And at the same time, you get your skills validated. And yeah, I'll come to that in a bit. And by the way, yes, go ahead.
If I may say, as an ex-student, but now working person, that once you guys taught me this mindset, it sticks with you. So even as a project manager, having gained the skills to verbalize my skills, I constantly see professional growth in a more conscious way while working.
That's the great thing. That's technique. It's technique, yeah. And before I go closer into what you just picked up, Björn, I just want to say that we're always looking for ways of cooperating with each other at universities between different units. We're so used to working in our own teams, but this is a perfect opportunity for the career services and the international office to work together and make a program out of this, how we can best support our students by pooling our forces and our expertise from all different points of view. So that's a big takeaway. And next slide, please. Yes, so SkillMill really is sowing many seeds up here. That's the kind of the thought, because we all want to have students with a reflective mindset, and this really trains your mind to reflect on your own skills. And usually students are very good at analyzing academic materials, but it's somehow very hard to turn that sort of analytical gaze towards yourself and analyze yourself, because that's one of the most important difficult things for us to do, and especially for students, is to talk about what you know and sort of your skills in general. It's very hard. So we want to train this reflective mindset geared towards yourself, because we want to promote continuous self-development and lifelong learning. And that's where Björn, your comment comes in here perfectly, because you have now learned this skill, and so you can continuously use it and refine it sort of to your own needs. But you know now how to look for skills in your own experiences, and also in that way feel maybe more empowered. And because one thing that we encounter very frequently with students is the imposter syndrome. Many students and graduates may think that I'm not supposed to be here. How can I be here? I'm not qualified. But if you ground your skills in your own experiences, then I cannot see how you can sort of feel like an imposter than if you actually have real evidence, your own experiences. Now, what better evidence do you need for your skills? So I think it also, in the long run and in the end, it contributes to greater self-confidence also about what we can do. And we feel better about ourselves. And that's what we also need to do in this day and age. We need to be more resilient, I think. And resilience comes from feeling good about yourself. When there's times of adversity, like we have all been through the last few years, the pandemic, for example. Now we can all find skills in how we were coping through the pandemic. Give it a try and you'll be surprised how much coping skills are involved and how we overcame the worst moments of that.
And as we heard recently, someone saying that we have now several cohorts of students leaving university after studying under the same circumstances during COVID, but the employability benefits will come to those who can retranslate those years into something valuable, rather than those who feel held back by it.
Yeah, and if we have grounded our skills in our experiences, it also provides the perfect basis for a sustainable career path, I would say, which is another topic, but anyway, let's go on. We're about to finish here, but as we can't tell you in this kind of session everything we would like to about SkillMill and the background and how we actually did it, we wrote it down instead in this guide for users and practitioners, which is free for you to download. We talk more there about why SkillMill is necessary and what is it. And of course, also we open up a little bit more about soft skills and also the counseling process and how that is mirrored in this process in the app. And I have to say thank you to our fantastic technical team for translating the counseling process so well into this app. Who is the app for and how to use it? We also have some ideas for you for unpacking workshops in this guide. And we have written them out so that if you have never in your life had a workshop or a session like this before, don't worry. It's very easily explained and you can make the most of it. It's really quite easy to do. And then we of course have our appendix, and that is the core of SkillMill, where we have the big 9, as we call it, the skills framework. And that's where we all started from, because we can't pick all soft skills that there are, because there are so many. We have picked out 9 major skill areas that we focus on in the app that are proven based on research, which is listed here, which are proven to be the main ones that develop during a mobility period. So we have picked these and focused on them, basically. But you can read about here in the guide and contact us for any more questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Anna. So now we hope that you yourself will give the app a try, and please consider using it with your students. We hope that the practitioner's guide can give you some help in how to do that, but we are always available for discussions, questions, feedback, collaborations. So you find us on skillmill@uu.se and also, of course, on our website. And thank you for giving us your time today. Feel free to share any questions in the chat, and you know where to find us. Thank you.
Of course, what we haven't mentioned is that there is a recording available of this event,
which will be sent out to everyone who participated or registered.
Thank you, my behalf as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. If there are any more questions, of course.
Let's see in the chat. I'm also putting our email address and our website. Please. Maybe everyone is busy copying the, scanning the QR code.
Yeah.
Björn, unfortunately, I don't think the participants can see the chat. They can only see the Q&A.
Oh, well,
Yes.
we all learned something new today. Me too.
Or maybe you can publish to everyone. I couldn't.
Anyway, we will send out the recording to everyone, and there we can also include information on how to get the practitioner's guide, to find our website, and how to keep in touch.
Yes.
But with that, please let me wish you all a wonderful Tuesday and a great week ahead, and enjoy SkillMill, and see you around. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, we have a
Just
question.
a question just came in.
Yes. Oh, and some more here. Absolutely wonderful.
Excellent.
So I have it before me. Does the app give suggestions on how and where to develop those skills? The answer right now is no. The reason being that soft skills develop all the time, everywhere. When I broke my favorite ramen bowl in the kitchen the other evening, that's soft skill, much as when I worked in Vietnam. So rather than focusing on the situations, on the external, we wanted to show what happens on the inside when we encounter these situations, by the actual development. Would you agree with that, Anna?
Yes, sorry, I was just reading Ida Maria's question here.
And I just wanted also to say what Björn said. I think this was a big decision we made early on, that we don't think making a soft skills training app is relevant, because, like Björn said, there's enough soft skills training happening in daily life, and the problem is, the way we see it, the problem is rather surfacing this training and making people or helping people reflect on the experiences that they have in real life, especially during an exchange, helping them find words for their experiences and then write stories about them.
Yes, and I think a big inspiration also for this, Björn, isn't it so that the study you mentioned about the hidden skills, that we need to do something more to unveil the skills in connection to international experiences.
Yes.
And to attract the employer's attention. And that was kind of a narrow focus that we started off on.
But also in a way, since it doesn't matter if you sort of have a discussion with your landlord in Korea or with your grandmother in Sweden, it's the behavior that contains the soft skills. So with all these questions, for example, did you struggle to make yourself understand? If our students can recognize that behavior is meaningful, then we think it maybe doesn't matter if it's at a new class or finding accommodation or doing something else, because the skills are universal. So hopefully, rather than not looking at the external but on the internal, we can actually strengthen the reflection process even more. I would like to say to Ida Maria, why are all the models using different techniques? That's a good question. This is a pilot and we're trying out different things, and your feedback is very valuable. It might be that it's actually better not to have, for example, stripe sort and fallen leaves. We love that feedback. Maybe we take away fallen leaves, or maybe that's the only one that should be there. So depending on your feedback, we will continue to develop the app, because that's how we see this working, to making it together in this sector what we need it to be.
And I also think that as a user, you can choose which exercises to do. And so you can, if you have learned one, then you can just repeatedly use that one. So you could always just use the swipe sort and always just use the heat levels. I think maybe we misunderstood the question is why isn't there swipe sort everywhere? And I think there's just we're trying to do different things, like we said, between exploration and insights. It's trying to achieve different things, and so I think there's a good argument for having different sort of mechanics or exercises to achieve those different ideas, right? Because we want you to go fast through things, swipe through things in exploration, and be slow and methodical in insights. And so we want to build it in a way where you're forced to do it slightly differently. Then I think the other thing we thought about a lot is to actually build it in this somewhat modular way and be able to expand on more exercises in the future, because we think that if you do this for half a year or even a year if you're abroad and you have to do the same thing over and over again, the first time it might be new and a bit difficult. The second time you get used to it. By the fourth time, you are already annoyed that you have to do the same thing over and over again, and you wish that there was an alternative way to do it. And so I think that's our thought process behind having designed it this way.
And we also hope, as you say, because by making it modular, that you can take away exercises, put in new exercises while maintaining the same framework. We want to at least keep the opportunity open in the future to have students, for example, develop new exercises as degree projects or what have you. So that's a benefit we see. And I can also add that all of the exercises we see build on existing counseling methods, for example, on exercises. So that's also why they might look a little bit different compared to each other, as Elias said, because they follow different logics. Any other questions? I'm going to take that as a no, and I will then wrap up this webinar with thanking you who attended, thank you who are watching this recording, and thank you everyone who's interested in the SkillMill app. We're happy to be here and we wish you a good week ahead. Bye-bye.